Turns out, if your VPN is based in the US, the government can legally force it to hand over your data and ban it from telling you. So let me show you how serious this issue actually is and the best VPN alternatives to US products. The most obvious red flag of a US jurisdiction is the Five Eyes Alliance. The USA, UK, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand have an intelligence sharing agreement. So if one of them snoops on you, they can pass that info to the others. Now, the alliance countries may have laws against spying on their own citizens, but they can just ask another country to do it for them, which is a very messed up loophole. But let's be honest, it is not the least surprising. When it comes to VPN specifically, US-based providers can be compelled by law to comply with federal requests for user data. For example, IPVanish was hit with such a request back when they were under a different company, and Homeland Security forced them to hand over one user's data. On top of that, the US government can slap a VPN with a gag order, preventing it from disclosing that they've received a request to share your data. So yeah, no surprise that people want VPN alternatives outside of the US and all the 5 or 9 or 14 Eyes Alliances. Yes, there are more countries in this bullshit. Naturally, most of us go searching for European alternatives. While Europe does have some countries that participate in the alliances, it is not all of them. Plus, Europe as a whole actually has tools to enforce privacy. I'm mainly talking about GDPR compliance. It's a law that forces companies into transparency about what data they collect and why they collect it. Plus, it also gives you the right to demand what gets deleted. That's another improvement from the US. It does have some privacy frameworks, like the California Consumer Privacy Act, but these have a lot more wiggle room, and the law often sides with the big corps, not the user. However, there's also the question of digital sovereignty. If a VPN is based in a privacy-friendly country, but its servers are physically located in a third-party data center in the US, the government can still get its hands on the hardware, regardless of the VPN's home country's laws. But that's why fully owned server networks exist, or RAM-only servers which aren't capable of retaining data long-term. Okay, so what are the US VPN alternatives then? Well, if you want one of the strongest privacy laws in Europe, look at Switzerland. And here, the biggest and most privacy-conscious alternative is Proton VPN. Another option is Romania, where CyberGhost VPN is based. Not all privacy-friendly VPNs are in Europe though. NordVPN is in Panama, which has no mandatory data retention laws, and it's outside of the intelligence sharing alliances. Panama laws work to protect users' data just like in European locations. But if you want my advice on how to choose a VPN, I'd go for either Proton VPN or the NordVPN app. I have used them both for a long time, and they just work more reliably than others. And, well, there's a big reason for it. These are big and carefully maintained tools with huge cybersecurity teams behind them. And by the way, if you want to check them out, I will leave links in the description along with their latest discounts. Proton VPN comes from Proton AG, which is part of a non-profit Proton Foundation, and it was founded as a privacy-first company from the start by CERN scientists. Proton VPN, like all Proton products, is open source with all of its code uploaded to GitHub. Because of this, there is literally no doubt when answering, is Proton VPN safe? Since the code is public, independent security researchers constantly audit it and suggest improvements, which is why it is so beloved by privacy enthusiasts. If you're wondering who owns NordVPN, it's Nord Security, and these guys have multiple serious privacy products under their belt. NordVPN specifically uses RAM-only servers which don't retain data, and it's committed to annual expert audits. Both VPNs have massive server networks to choose from, and the apps really aren't complicated to use. In terms of privacy features, Proton and NordVPN each offer a double VPN function, which relays your traffic through 2 servers instead of 1, adding an extra layer of security on top. Proton's version of this is called Secure Core, and one of the servers in that route is always fully owned and operated by Proton, which checks the digital sovereignty box. NordVPN's standout feature is Threat Protection Pro, which takes online privacy and security even further. It blocks phishing attempts, trackers, ads, and it also scans your downloads for signs of malicious activity. The nice thing is, you won't break the bank with either of these, especially if you go for the longer plans, which have the lowest monthly fees. And if you use the link from the description, you'll also be able to unlock their current biggest discounts too. Overall, if you need a US VPN alternative, Proton VPN is a really strong choice, with it being open source and belonging to a non-profit. But Panama with NordVPN is a great alternative with strong privacy protection, and the RAM-only servers work as assurance that no data sticks around. At the end of the day, whether you're looking for a secure VPN or any other privacy product, do your research before committing. If you want my help, feel free to drop your questions in the comments, and consider subscribing to CoolTechZone. Cheers.